Good evening, everyone. Oh, okay. Why is the road lopsided? Look, I don't know if that's straight. Opening my camera. That was the worst start to a stream I've had in a while. Right. Good evening, everybody. Oh, there's a wire on my bed. So today we were streaming earlier in the day. So this is a complimentary stream following what I did say earlier, which was, well, talked about earlier, which was that we're going to be talking about some points I had mentioned during the last stream. So some of the points I want to mention, I'm not sure how long I'll be here for. Not too long is my hope. And then we can then continue tomorrow. So today is Thursday and Friday are the last two training days. I did take some notes on some of the points, so if I look down, that's why. The first thing I want to talk about was a statement I made, which was saying that watching videos specifically on trading is useless. It's a very bold statement, but there is a philosophy and a way of thinking behind that statement. The problem with watching things is that people glorify it too much. They take so much pride in doing something, but they're not doing the right thing. But I'd rather people take pride in doing the right thing than doing a thing or doing something. Because sometimes you could be doing the wrong thing. And why would you ever take pride in that? But the wrong thing doesn't always look like the wrong thing. It doesn't feel wrong to spend money on yourself all the time, right? But sometimes that is the wrong thing to do. Sometimes the right thing is to save money, delayed gratification. So what has that got to do with my statement? My statement is that watching videos is useless. I know, shocking, right? And the reason why I even said that was because when you're watching a film, right? You're watching a film, you have an opinion of the film. There are thousands of, potentially, depending on the film, millions of other people that watch the film. But not every single person will have the same opinion. Not every single person will have the same opinion as you. Why? Because everyone has a different perspective. So that's why I say watching videos on their own is useless, because everybody has their own opinion. Hi, I'm from Russia, Moscow. Shout out to you. Thank you for tuning in. Appreciate you. So we're talking about some things on, well, the general topic is how to learn how to trade is what we're going to be talking about today. And I'm going to be stemming from different points and I'll bring it all together eventually. So watching videos alone is useless. We're going to get back to that because I'm going to then advise you to watch videos, which sounds counterintuitive. It sounds like I'm contradicting myself, but I'm not. Watching videos is useless. And the example I'm using is that when everybody watches a single film, all the people that watch it will have a different opinion. What you despised, disliked, or didn't like in the film will be what somebody loves about the film. So if me saying to you watch a video is advice, is bad advice, because watching a video on its own is not good enough. Can you say privet? What does that mean? Well, technically I just said it. And watching videos on its own is not good enough because everybody can form their own opinions. So what is so important about watching videos? Well, when people advise you, I think the best thing to do is to, let me use an example. Let's say I wanted to watch Wolf of Wall Street, right? I've watched that film, I think maybe twice. That film, and the reason why I actually wanted to watch it was because it was to do with stocks, it was to do with trading, it was to do with things that I was interested in. So I wanted to see. That's the only reason. And there's another one, it's called The Big Short. That's a very good film. That I recommend. Now, when I was watching the film the first time, it was mainly for entertainment purposes that I received. I was entertained watching it. Why? Because it was action. There was some action, not literally fighting action, but there was action in the sense that there was a lot of things going on. There was a lot of people moving parts in the film. But the second time I watched it with more of a lens of how did he make money? And so my perspective on the film, it moved from entertainment to then learning. But it's the same film I watched. But you see how you watch a video is more important than you watching a video. Because if you watch a video with the perspective, you will then see it through that perspective. It's like wearing sunglasses. When you go out into the sunny day and sunny sky and you put your glasses on, what's going to happen? Everything's going to dim. It's going to be in a different light, in a different perspective. Who are you talking to? The void. I was talking to my phone, basically. I'm just documenting my trading lifestyle. What I'm talking about today is how to learn how to trade. And my initial statement is that watching videos on its own is useless. Caden says hi. Hello, Caden, Jake. Nice to see you. Nice to see you in the chat. So watching videos on its own is useless. And my point is that it's useless by itself. You got to watch videos or trading them out. How come? You're not a trader? You're not interested? I think everyone should be an investor. Not everyone should be a trader. In fact, I would actually recommend people not to be a trader. Have a good evening. Bye. Thank you for tuning in, Sarah. Hope you have a good day and take care. So this is about trading for those that are interested, and it can be applied to anywhere in your life. When you watch a video, whether it's for studying, whether it's for entertainment, whatever it's for, try put it on a lens of learning. The lens of learning will help you. And the reason I'm saying this is because you can watch Marvel's Avengers and learn something. I watched Black Panther and I learned a lot about culture. Even though it was a fantasy world, I learned about how people were relating to each other, what people can see, how jealousy can rise in a person. But sometimes somebody may watch it just to see action, which is fine. So my point is that when you're watching trading videos, I'm going to bring it back to trading. When you're watching videos on trading, a lot of people is putting out slop. And the reason why they're putting out slop is because slop sells, because they package it nicely. It is like candy. Candy is great, right? It tastes good, but it's not good for you. And they package it with colors. In fact, I say it, and I'm not condemning anyone because I literally have a pack of chocolate in front of me. Minstrels, right? It's not good. But what's good about it, or why did I buy it? Well, for taste, the packaging is sweet. That's why I bought it. So what's my point? That a lot of people are packaging things that are sweet, but they're not actually good for you. They sound good, but they're not actually beneficial. They are catchy, but it's not profitable. So it's difficult to filter through all that noise, especially as a beginner going into the void going into the abyss, not abyss, going into it's a deep place. This area is called trading, or this realm called trading. It's a deep place. It's a deep place because there's few masters and a lot of students. And a lot of students thinking that they're masters, which is a problem. And one thing I'll tell you this for free, that the people that are successful in trading, you won't see them on YouTube per se. If you are going to see them, they're not going to really be doing the things you want them to do. A lot of the best people that have helped me are people that do 4-hour videos. And in that 4-hour videos, they're doing it because it's fun. They're not doing it because they care as much. The caring comes after. So I could waffle on. I'm going to try hone in on my points so that you guys can take at least something out of this. Because it's, like I said, it's a deep place. And I was referencing slop, right? Because it's packaged nicely and people are selling it as if it's the best thing, but it's not always good for you. So how then, in a place where there's, and don't forget, I eat snacks. You are the best, thank you, Kaden. I have a lot of snacks before, but how do I, in a world where there's all these offers of temptations, how do I then choose the right option? The best thing to do is to learn. Just learn something from somebody. Because I got here from learning by my mistakes. And the shortcut to learning by your own mistakes is to learn from someone else's mistakes. I'm going to leave that topic alone for now. It's a very deep topic. But what I'll say is this: 95% of traders lose money, 5% of traders win. Of those 5% that are winners, why would they ever teach anybody? They're already winning. They don't need to show. So if there's 5% of traders that are winning, 95% that are losing, 95% of the videos you're watching on YouTube are going to be people that are not profitable. Why? Because that's what the numbers show. That's numbers extracted from brokers. They are, I think it was publicized. You can research it yourself. So what's the point I'm making? The point I'm making is that when you're watching videos, I don't advise watching videos. I advise people, because videos alone is not good enough. Because again, we live in a realm, trading specifically, but also elsewhere, where most people think they're more qualified than they actually are. So whenever you're watching a video, at least do your best to just learn from it. Just learn. You're learning not because they are saying something is true. You're learning, you should be able to learn from people that are right and people that are wrong. People that are right, where you can gain information from. People that are wrong, you know what not to do. So you can learn from both people that are talking what sense and talking nonsense. So I'm gonna move on from that point because it's a deep point and I'm not really sure where to go. You know, it's very layered. So I'm not gonna talk too much on that, but I'm gonna make a different point. And this one's even more controversial. And it's this: that when you make a decision, you are a liar until you do something about it. If I decide right now I'm gonna dye my hair blue or blonde, would you guys think I'm telling the truth or I'm lying? Most of you will think I'm lying because you can look at the screen and see that my hair is black. It's not blue, it's not blonde. So what would make me true? What would make me a person that's telling the truth? If I actually had blue hair. So that means that we can see your decision we can see if you're serious about your decision by the evidence of your actions. You can see if I'm serious about dyeing my hair or not by whether or not my hair is dyed blue. So what I'm giving you guys now is a new definition of the word deciding. Deciding means nothing until you act on it. You can decide to be early and be late. Because I decided to be early by setting my alarm. I'm actually making an effort to be on time, trying to be early, but you can miss your bus, sleep past the alarm. And so therefore, though you decided something, your actions didn't line up and you were late. So in trading, how does that apply? If you want to decide to be profitable, you have to act and have actions that line up with that profitability. For example, if you want to be a business owner, what do you have to do? You have to have a business. A lot of people dream, but their dreams die on the pillow because they do nothing about it. A dream's only source of living is by action. A decision's only source of living is by an action. So if you want to decide something, I want to eat lamb chops today. I'm going to have to go either buy lamb chops, cook it myself, or order it from Uber Eats or delivery, whatever app you have, and bring lamb chops to myself. So actions are the thing that gives life to decisions. Actions are the things that showcase that you are serious about your decisions. So think of it like this. Once you make a decision, you are a liar until you do it. I decide to be early. Well, until I'm early, I cannot say that's my decision. So, like I said, in trading that applies in many different ways. You can take it as a whole, that if you want to become profitable, you want to decide to be a profitable trader, you have to act on that by learning. That's why a lot of people they want to be profitable and they trade a magic model that doesn't exist. Otherwise, everybody would be rich. Let's just think logically. If there was a way for everybody to be successful, everybody would be successful because it's that easy. So it seems. But when things are not found in a place of easiness, they're normally in a place of difficulty. And interestingly enough, it's the things that we don't want to do that is the place of our blessing. I don't like cleaning, but I love a clean room. I don't like studying, but I like information. If I want to learn about the universe, I have to study. There's no shortcuts I can take. I can choose how I study. I can choose who teaches me by what video I watch or what textbook I buy. But at the end of the day, I will still have to learn, right? That's why I say put on the hat of learning. As a trader, you never stop learning. No matter how good you are, you learn. And even if you learn everything that's possible to learn, you learn from your own mistakes. There's three things I always teach or say is that you have three modes of trading. You have study mode, which is when you're new to trading, or if you're developing a new strategy, learning what the markets mean, what candlesticks mean, learning the basics. Then, of course, learning a specific strategy to gain an edge in the marketplace. Then you have live. So you have study mode, live mode. Live mode is the rule sets you have for when you're about to enter a trade, manage a trade, anything to do with actively entering a trade is done in live mode. Live mode is where you master your emotions. Live mode is where you stick to your trading plan. Live mode is where you don't have any emotions. It's strictly within live mode. You're allowed, and then third mode is reflect mode. Reflect mode is where the advanced traders see the most benefit, see the most growth, because they've already got the model. They already know how to trade. So how did they keep improving? Well, they have to look back on their own actions. They have to look at all the trades they took, see how well they did, where did they do well, where did they do bad. And that's why I advise journaling. I have a trading journal, link in the description, I believe. And it's there as a tool to help those that are already advanced. The best person that can help you is you. Why? Because nobody knows you better than you. And more importantly, you have control over your actions. So what I'm saying here is applicable to more than just trading. Obviously, I'm a trader by trade, so I'm going to bring it into trading, but you can also apply anywhere in your life. Three modes: study mode, live mode, and reflect. Study mode, study mode, study mode, study mode. Study mode is the best mode because there's no consequences. There's only good learning is in live mode, because live mode is a strict condition. It's like being in the army, right? When you're out on the battlefield, there's no time for learning. It's about fighting. That's the posture you have when you're taking trades. You're in the battle mode, right? It's like when you're in a port, like the World Cup just finished, right? The players don't get to play the game again. It's there and that. That's all they have. So when they're about to go up on the pitch, they better have in their mind that I'm going to give 110%, because this is not going to happen again, at least for another 4 years. Reflect mode is when you've ascended or reached a level where studying is not as beneficial, but you study yourself. It's like when you become a master. Like, imagine trying to teach Lionel Messi how to play football, or how to teach LeBron James how to dunk. It doesn't make sense. But what they can do is they have obviously a team around them, coaches, etc., and they do their best to look at tapes. How can they improve? What signs? They try their best to, and the best case study they have is themselves. You are your best case study. Three modes: study mode, live mode, and reflect mode. And summarize that one last time. Study mode is where you learn the most. You're free to make any mistake you want. Live mode, it's not about mistakes. So there is room for mistakes, but that's not your posture. Your posture is do or die. This is where you master yourself, you master your emotions, and it's a place of execution. This is the battlefield, right, of trading. Of course, this can be applicable to anything in life. The third mode is reflect mode, is when you've reached trading, where you've mastered your trading plan. This is where you look back on your trades in the trading journal, and you look back and see how well you did, what you did well, what you could have improved on, and then you reflect on that. So those are three modes that can help you. So this stemmed from us, from the point of us making, or this stemmed from us making the point that a decision is nothing until action. Action gives life to a decision. It also gives life, and we added, actions give life to dreams. Dreams die on a pillow because people do nothing about the dream. And in trading, how does that make sense? Well, if you want to decide to be the best trader that you can be, you have to act on that. And action should line up with the decision. If I want to be early, what do I have to do? I have to make sure that I prepare my clothes the day before. I have to make sure I set my alarms. And if I'm a deep sleeper, set my multiple alarms. Shower beforehand. I need to go to bed early. So there's a lot of things I can do to help myself be early. But what do you notice? It's actions, more than one. So there's multiple things I did because of the decision I made, right? So again, deciding to be early, we will see if you decided to be early, but if you come into the door when we were meant to meet at 8 a.m. and you're there at 7:45, that's how we know we're early. And that's how we know that you made decisions you made a decision and you made actions supporting that decision to be early. In trading, we decide to be the best. Well, what do you have to do? You have to become better than everybody else. You have to become the best version of you, better than yesterday. How can you improve on yourself from yesterday? Learn something new. In trading, learn something new. Learn something new. Learn something new. The best traders are always learning. I will never, ever, ever. My mentor learns in trading. He's public. He's not like a mentor as in that I have a direct relationship, but a mentorship in the fact that he has public mentorships that's available to everybody, and it is on the internet. It's called. His name is ICT Trader. Research him. I watch him on my streams all the time. He's the best. There's no one like him, in my opinion, from what I've seen thus far in terms of free YouTube mentorship that works. But you have to put in the work because he does hours of longs. That's not English. He does multiple hours of multiple episodes on how to trade. But think about it. If you want to become profitable, if you want to become better than the rest, you have to do something different to the rest. Brokers say that 95% of traders are losing money. So think about what the 95% of people are doing. They're watching videos on YouTube. They're copying people's strategies. It's not working and they're in a cycle. They're using indicators. They're reading price wrong. You don't want to do that. You want to do the things that the people you can't see that are making money are doing. They wake up early. They trade during high volume time periods. They study the markets, they improve daily, they never stop learning, and you can at least start there. They never stop learning. Just take that one thing, that's enough to start there. Never stop learning. What do you know now that you didn't know yesterday? And if you don't have an answer, make sure you do. Last point on deciding an action. When you are about to decide whether or not you're about to enter a trade, what are the actions that should follow? Well, we kind of alluded to it earlier, which is trading plan. It's in the third mode of live mode. Remember, study mode, live mode, reflect mode. Live mode is where you make your decisions. You make your decision all three, but the decisions that count, it matters most in live mode because you don't make money in study mode or reflect mode. You make money in live mode. That's where the money is. So that's the most important mode. Not it's the place where you spend the most time, but it's the place where you should definitely take the most care. So in live mode, you want to make sure that whenever you're trading into account, in live trade rather, you want to make sure that your actions are that you're following the trading plan, that you're mastering your emotions. And we'll get into that another video, another time. Cool. 2, 3, 4 more points. Next point is this: scaling and compound. I thought they were the same thing. They are not. Scaling and compounding. So first of all, what is compounding? What is scaling? Compounding is where you have an accumulation. You start with 1, you then get 2, you then get 4, you then get 8, you then get 16. It's a consistent bringing of exponential growth, but it starts small. It doesn't always have to start small, but it starts somewhere rather. You start with something and it grows. That's what compounding is. A slow growth, but it's an exponential growth. Scaling is a force, in my opinion, is my personal definition, by the way. Google definitions, you can check that for yourself. Scaling for me is expanding. It's expansion, forcible expansion. They're not the same thing and they require different skill sets. And this is how I found out the difference between the two. When you have a trading account, there's multiple types of accounts you can have. You can have a personal account, you can have a what's that called? Funded account. You can have different types of accounts. Even within a personal account, you can have a high risk account, where you have most of your capital. This one account, you have a high risk account, low capital. You can have a low risk account and high capital, right? So compounding is the idea of risking at low percentage and seeing consistent growth just by winning consistently. This is the best when you've mastered trading. It's the best when you have a profitable strategy. Okay, compounding is the way I would argue you should be spending most of your time. Compound because wealth is built slowly, right? Most wealth is built slowly. But now that we've defined compounding, let's kind of give examples. So compounding is taking one step. Somebody that's running a race is not compounding, they're scaling because they're running. There's a speed to what they're doing. There's a rush. There is an urgency. A compounder is at peace, is at ease, is slow, is calm. A compounder is only focused on the next step. It's like putting money into a savings account every week. You put £5, maybe let's say you make £500 a week. You put £5 away, 1%. You put £50. You put £50 a week. Bam, bam, bam. You don't even think about it, but it's a small step because £50 is not a lot of money when there's millions, but it is a lot of money in my opinion. Every pound is a lot, but for the sake of the example, it's not a lot of money. So that small money you're putting away, £50 every week, guess how much you put away in a year? About 2.5 thousand. I think it's 2.6K you make, put away. 2,600. Imagine now somebody that lives paycheck to paycheck, 500 every week, and then you ask them for £2,000. They're gonna say, sorry, don't have that for you. You gotta wake up, you gotta wait for a month. A person that's compounding for a whole year, yes, obviously it takes a year, but they would have now stored away £2,600. If you ask them for £500, or sorry, £2,000, they can give it to you. So that's just the difference of what compounding can do. Just that's not even interest, by the way. That's just putting the money away, saving. That small decision could give you a greater decision in the future. Now, the person who has compounded has the ability to buy a car or put a deposit down for something or make a larger purchase than somebody who didn't have that ability to restrain themselves. So compounding, the skill sets you need for it are discipline, you also need consistency, and you also need honesty. There's probably more, but this is off the top of my head. You definitely need those three to be a good compounder. In trading, what does that look like? That looks like having a large account. It doesn't have to be large, but it has to be a main account or just an account in general, and you are risking a small percentage. Okay, that's a compounding account. You see results over a long period of time. Now moving on to scaling. Scaling, I thought was the same thing. I thought, and this is, I think most traders have had this thought pattern. Let's say you risk 1%, you make 5%. Hold on, I just 5x my money. So if I risked 10 times more, I would have made 10 times more. So if I risked £10 and I made £50. Ooh, that's very good. What happens if I risk £100? I would have got £500. Wow, that's scaling. So you may, as a trader, decide, you know what, I'm going to 10 times my risk, I'm going to double my risk. But what they don't tell you is that you're not always going to be winning. And so when you do that and you make a mistake, or not make a mistake, but you do that and then you lose money or you don't make as much money as you would like, or you go on a losing streak, you blow your account. So scaling is very different to compounding. Compounding, you're less prone, even if you go on a losing streak, you're less prone to losing your whole account because you're risking such a small amount. A scaler is a person that's forcibly expanding, remember? So to forcibly expand, you got to do something more. You got to do something. Remember, it's like a person running a race. When they're running that race, what's going to happen? They're going to be using a lot more energy. They're going to be quicker. They're going to be saying that they're going to run out of breath eventually, but they're going to have a target. So you're running quickly to a target. When you're scaling, don't try to scale $1 to $1 billion. It hasn't been done before in the realms of trading, to my knowledge. So what should you do then instead? Set a target of £1,000. Do that instead. Start with 100. You want to get 100 to 1,000. Even that's brave. But use money you don't mind losing everything. You should never be scaling if you're not ready to risk everything. A person that's running a 100-meter race, they're not trying to conserve energy. It's not a marathon. It is a sprint. So that lack of conservation shows in their urgency, in their speed, in their energy, in their decisions, in their actions. Everything's linked. I'm bringing it all together slowly but surely. So what does that mean? That means a scaler is somebody that has a skill set of the ready to risk it all. That's the main difference between a compounder and a scaler. A scaler is willing to lose everything. A compounder is at ease and willing to risk barely nothing. There is almost no consequences to a compounder, but there is every risk to a scaler. That's my opinion. That's why a lot of big businesses, they're very cautious to adapt to certain things because the cost of reversing is too much. That expansion idea sounds great in paper, but if it doesn't work out, then it's not good. It's not a good thing. So that's the difference between scaling and compounding. Next point is belief and acceptance. This is something I wrote down because it's personal to me. I showed yesterday, a trade I took, and I had set my take profit to a level where it had Asia highs and London highs in equilibrium. So it's the same high from both sessions. And what that meant was that it was a clean area of targeting. The problem I then had with this specific trade was that I took my profits out at break even. And there was very good logic for that. And I'm not against my decision making to do that. But what ended up happening is that price then later delivered to my take profit and even further than my target. And it brought back memories of back in the day when I was trading, where I would fall into that trap of holding longer than I should because of past burns or past mistakes or past hurt of me losing money or leave money on the table because I came out too early. And I have my reasons when I'm live trading. I have a live mode. I do not regret the decision to come out break even. I was even confident in the buy to that extent. It was a 1 to 2, it was a short risk, etc. But here's the thing. Although I managed to mitigate the loss because I closed at break even, that decision was made because of the rules I have set for that specific account. If I had a normal account, where it was a personal account or even a funded account, I would 100% have held. It was a high risk account, hence why I took out, because when I have high risk, I use a lot more management because I want speedy results. So then it's easier for me to scale. Again, different rules. It's rules I have by the account, not by my strategy. If I had a normal account, like I said, I would have held that. But what would I have needed to do to actually see profit? I needed to believe that it's going to hit my target and accept if price is my stop loss. Not every time would I ever advise somebody to just let the market decide whether it hits your take profit or you stop loss it, let it hit something. That is a good way to learn. Not always the case in live mode, because sometimes it's a business. You got to take the money that's there. So how do you then develop the ability to believe in your target? Well, you need to see it working. Think about it. Let me give an example. I believe that there's chocolate inside here. Why? Because I can feel it. So let's see if I'm right. And this example makes sense in a second. Oh, would you look at that? A chocolate. So I was confident before I opened this package that there was chocolate inside. And then afterwards, I found chocolate. Think about this. I know it sounds very mundane, but think about the logic behind it. If you see something work or you know something will work, would you not put your belief in it? Like, this is a chair I'm sitting on, right? Now, I've sat on a lot of chairs in my life. Before I sat on this chair, I didn't think, oh my gosh, is it gonna sustain my weight? It didn't look dodgy. When I saw this chair, I wasn't thinking it's gonna break. I saw the chair and I sat down in it very calmly and confidently. I didn't think I was gonna fall. So what should I tell you? That should tell you that where your belief is, it changes everything. It changes how you act. Remember, see how when I was cautious, when I was unsure, I was testing the couch. Traders, we do that a lot. We're not sure about where price is going. We over-analyze, we overlook, we ignore the key. That's the place. It's a place of uncertainty where you can ignore your own rules that you set. Because you're so uncertain if your rules are right, you don't believe in them, therefore you don't adhere to them. Or even sometimes when you adhere to them, you blame the strategy. That's not always the wrong thing to do, but you want to blame the strategy only when you've mastered your emotions, because then you know it's not an emotional thing and you can rule that out. Once you've mastered your emotions, not only would you be able to execute your trading plan precisely every time, but you can also rule out if it is an emotional trading because it doesn't exist to you. So whenever you enter a trade, I would definitely advise you believe in your trade. You believe, you can gain that belief by seeing it work. Like the chocolate example. When I put my hand on the chocolate packaging, I felt chocolate. So when I now poured it into my hand, I got chocolate. So now I know that anytime I see this, I know that there's gonna be chocolate inside. And you can train your brain to see that in anything. When I trade, I see the price hitting my target because I've seen it happen before. Not that will always happen, because at some point in time this will run out, but then I'll have to go buy a new one, look for a new opportunity. Likewise, you're not always going to win every trade you take, but when you lose, you can then reevaluate. So that's just something you need to have, is belief. You gain belief by seeing it work, and acceptance. Once you have belief in your strategy, you can accept prices in your stop loss. Once you can have that sense of mind, you're definitely or automatically a better trader, even if your strategy is not good. Being a good trader is not about whether you win or lose money at first. It's about how are you as a person. I describe trading as a mirror because it shows you who you are to yourself. It shows you if you're greedy. It shows you if you have fear. It shows you if you don't know what you're doing. It's a mirror. And likewise, if I look, well, I'm technically using this camera as a mirror, I can see if I have a pimple. Oh, I do. Why? And that's all available to me because I can see it. And sometimes you may see things you didn't even notice. Like I didn't notice how thin it was here. Well, to be fair, I did notice, but let's just assume I didn't notice my beard is thin at this part as opposed to another part. That thinness of beard I saw because I looked in the mirror. Trading can do that for you. It can show you if you're a greedy person. It can show you if you know what you're doing. It can show you a lot of things. That's why I call it a mirror. So all of this is linked to how to learn how to trade. And the best way I can summarize it is this, that the best way to learn how to trade is to learn. Just learn whatever you can. We started off by saying, put on the perspective or the perspective hat or the lens of learning. When you watch something with the idea of, I want to learn from this, you will always grow, no matter what the person's telling you. Even if they're telling you something that doesn't have value, the fact that you read it and you know now what not to do, that is value added to you. So posture is important. Posture, how you learn. You want a posture of learning. You will never, the best traders, my mentor learns. He's a rich man. He's probably the richest man I know. And even he continues to learn. How can you have millions, and I'm talking tens and hundreds of millions in your bank account, and you're still willing to learn? If that doesn't tell us how much we should be learning, those that are yet to get there, then I don't know what else would. Jeff Bezos still learns. Elon Musk is still very much learning. These are the richest men in the world. How much more us? Why should we ever stop learning? Never say no to learning. We then talked about belief and acceptance. You can only accept something once you believe it. People can, Christians, I'm a Christian. It's easier for Christians to accept death because we believe there's a heaven. Somebody that doesn't believe there's a heaven, they're a little bit more scared in theory than somebody that does believe there's heaven. Why? Because when there's something to hope for, it gives you strength for when you are not there yet. So it's a target. Once you have a target, you can have hope. And that's why not all religions are good, right? I'm not going to lie and say that all religions are good. Obviously, I have my beliefs personally. But what I can say that hope is something that gives life to accepting things. Once you can accept something, it's easier for you, okay? So as traders, what do? We believe in our strategy and we accept our strategy for whatever it gives us in terms of win rate. But we can only get that acceptance from when us seeing our strategy work. That's why we back test, so we can see it. And you seeing is believing in this realm. Not all the time, because I can't see oxygen, I breathe it. So not everything you will see, but for trading, everything you see, you believe, okay? Take that from me. Then we talked about deciding and actions, that every decision you make is only as good as the action you take. Dreams die on a pillow because nobody acts upon a dream after they wake up. Billions of dreams have died. And some of them probably would have helped all of humanity. But because they did nothing about it, that dream died. As traders, we want to be the best trader. Your actions have to line up with your decision. You want to be early. You wake up early. You got to go to bed early. Maybe you pack your stuff beforehand so you have to spend less time getting ready in the morning. You take an Uber instead of a bus because there's waiting time. Those are things, decisions and actions you can take to support the decision that you made. You want to become the best trader, make sure the actions back up what you just said, or what you believe, or the decision you made. To be the best trader, you got to study more than everybody. You got to learn more than everybody. You got to know more than everybody. So to know, you need to learn. Then we talked about the difference between scaling and compounding, and that was expansion versus steady growth, and how both can serve you. And again, with all these topics, we're going to go into detail, and we're going to even expand further on how to learn how to trade. This is just a small touch-up from the points we mentioned in the previous stream. I'm going to end stream now. I'm late for an appointment, and I apologize for that. But I just did insist on this video or stream being done. So I'll catch you guys tomorrow. Love you all. Peace.